What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Residual Earners Podcast, Episode 7. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Presley.
And we couldn't be more excited to have you here today for Episode 7. It is going to be over the top 10 books for you to be successful. Things you need to be reading every single year for you to have success. And it's such a cool topic. It's made such a big difference in our life. It's one of those things that is a game changer.
Well, I believe in mind food, and what you put in your mind is key. And, I talk about it all the time, but your circumstances are because of your actions, and your actions come from your thoughts. And if you can change the thoughts in a positive way, then good things happen. And reading is a key to that. Before we jump into that, Jordan, you impressed me earlier when you were telling me about kind of what you've been doing in the mornings, the discipline you've been showing. Tell folks kind of what you've been doing. I think that could be a positive in their life as well.
Definitely. We talked last time on the podcast about the morning routine, which we believe is so important in getting your day going. And like I discussed last time, it's waking up early, it's having quiet time, daily devotional, meditation, and then one of the biggest things for me lately is I've read, which we're going to go over today, a really good book lately, which has been just changing my mindset in the morning. Then it's kids' time starting at 6:37, get them to school, and then Nikki and I have been working out. And after workout is always cold plunge, even though it was 40 degrees today outside. Both of us still jumped in the cold plunge for 4 minutes, but it's just, it's starting the day off that way, feeling great, eating better, doing everything to the best, striving for excellence, which I think was talked about in the last podcast. And it sets your day up for success, and it's been so key to really getting things done.
No, and guys, discipline, I look at it this way. It's doing what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it, and the key is whether you feel like it or not, because I'm sure some days you don't feel like working out, and some days you don't feel like cold plunging. But if you'll do it anyway, you will be blessed. I will say this, and then we'll get started. I put on shorts today, Jordan. Last night when I looked at the forecast, it was supposed to be like 70 degrees today. I walked outside after putting these shorts on, and the high, I think now, is going to be in the 50s, and it was a little bit nippy with the wind blowing. But
yeah, it didn't happen like they said it was going to.
No, it's funny. The weatherman is the one person that can be wrong half the time and keep their job. That's kind of amazing to me. But anyway, let's move on, guys. Well, we're going to go over some books. And, I picked 5 books, and Jordan picked 5 books. And believe it or not, we didn't talk about it. He had one book with me that we both had, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. We both picked that one out. So I adjusted and let him have it and picked another one of my favorites. But I put a list of kind of honorable mentions, and some of the books he's going to talk about were on my honorable mention list. So I guess great minds think alike, Jordan, because we were talking a lot about the same stuff.
Definitely. And it may look a little cluttered up here, but I promise you it's not. We brought actually every copy. We do listen to a lot of stuff on Audible, audiobooks, but also the really good ones that make the biggest difference. I really like just having the hard copy that I can go through, highlight, mark up, take notes. I don't want to be listening to every single book, especially the ones that are the heavy hitters.
No. And it was kind of funny when Jordan walked in my office this morning. He looked at my stack and he goes, "Your pages are yellow."
He's got a little more yellowing than I have. I think he bought some of these books 30 years ago, and I'm.
Hey, tell him real quick about the pictures.
Oh, one of the books. Where is it here?
It's Magic of Thinking Big.
Magic of Thinking Big, which I'll show you guys that are tuning in on YouTube. There are pictures as bookmarks of my sister and I from probably 2003, 2004. And those were his bookmarks back in the day. And I said, it's great to see that our pictures were getting put to use. They weren't going in wallet for everybody to see. They're going in a book and stuff on a shelf after he was done with it. But they're in there.
Absolutely.
Why aren't they all the way done, though? That was my question. They're not all the way through. They're only 2/3 of the way in.
Well, they were at the back, and I stuck them in the middle because I didn't want them to fall out when we were coming to the studio. But anyway, all right, let's get going. I don't have the Bible as one of my 5 because I don't know. I just kind of put it in a separate category. And, if you don't believe like Jordan and I do on the Bible, that's fine. It's certainly your prerogative. This is just very important to us. And I brought the Bible because if you want to know principles about business, you can find them in the Bible. If you want to find principles about success, you can find them in the Bible. If you want to find principles about how to have a good marriage, how to raise good kids, how to do just about anything in this world, back up, you can find anything in this world. It's right here.
Yeah.
So I think the Bible is a key. And the one thing is, I've got older, I've realized we're going to all stand in front of the good Lord one of these days. And it makes me feel so good and so proud because I was there when Jordan gave his life to the Lord and when Sarah Beth gave her life to the Lord. And when they die, I know that they're going to come up to see me probably. I'm guessing I'll go first and we'll all be in heaven together. But I'm telling you, the Bible is a key in my life. It is so huge. All right, I'm going to do my first book. Then Jordan and I are just going to go back and forth. He took one of mine, but I'll let him talk about Napoleon Hill's book. But my second favorite on changing the way we think. I think that is so key. Our thinking, guys, is what gets us where we want to go. It's the beginning steps because we've got to think right. And the secrets of the millionaire mind. Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by Harv Eker is a great book on getting us thinking right. I actually jotted down some notes. I obviously have read this. Actually, I've read this one 2 or 3 times because, every few years I try to read it because I want to keep it fresh on my mind. Part one of this book, he explains how your money blueprint. Now, what that means is when we grow up, our circumstances, our situations, the people we run with, our family, where we live, there's so many things that go into our mind, and that is our money blueprint. I grew up in the ghetto, so my money blueprint was kind of screwed up royally.
Yeah.
But here's the great thing, you can change it. And then what I love about this, in part two of Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, he gives us 17 wealth files. In other words, he gives us 17 keys on how rich folks think and act and do. And they are very applicable to what we do in our life. So I recommend highly this book to get our mind getting in the right direction, to start thinking and understanding that it doesn't matter where we come from. It's really, guys, up to us what we want to accomplish with our lives. But The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by Harv Eker.
When would you say you bought that book?
Ooh, probably either late 90s, early 2000s. I've had it a long time.
How many times do you think you've read it?
3 or 4.
3 or 4. Because I think the big thing for me is putting together the list of books that we say these are, what we're doing right now. And then, you can't read 10 of the same books every year, but you can go back to a couple of them every year and get your brain, like that one, back thinking to how you need to think. And
well, it's the ones that really had an impact on my life.
Definitely.
I read them more. Now, some books I enjoy reading and I learn from them, but they don't totally impact me.
Yeah.
The books that I picked out, and I'm sure the ones you did, they impacted my life, made
Definitely.
me think different, which obviously helped me get to where I am today.
Definitely. Well, my first one, which Presley knows very well because we have both read this, and this is more for, business world related things, is Rocket Fuel by Wickman and Winters. This book is awesome. And what it does is it gets you thinking, it gets a visionary thinking ahead on where we want to be going, what we want to be doing, how to accomplish what we need to accomplish. And then it also talks about integrators and how to work with people to achieve the most, which I think is huge. You can't do everything on your own. You got to build the right team. You got to get the right people on the bus in the right seats. And then we have to know how to work with everybody. And everybody is wired differently. And what is so big on this book is it teaches you what other people's strengths are, what other people's weaknesses are, and then how to work together with people. And it's a series of books. It's not just one book. It kind of goes off the principle of EOS, which is entrepreneurial operating systems, to how to hold your business accountable, how to hold your team members accountable. And it kind of is a much bigger picture than just one book. And I think, especially if you own your own business, if you're in a corporate environment, whatever it may be, it is a game changer to how you think about success, how you think about achieving more through what you read in this book. What are your thoughts on that one?
No, I agree. If you have a traditional business, that book is to me a must because it keeps you organized. It keeps you looking for the right people. It just keeps you on course, and it gets you thinking about things that chances are you're not thinking about.
Definitely.
I know when we started that book and we started having our L10 meetings and our strategy sessions and all the stuff we started doing because of that,
Yeah.
it was a game changer.
Because, like I said, there's so much more than just this one book when you get involved with rocket fuel, EOS, all that. But it's a great book to get started with on thinking this direction that they talk about, and really kind of bringing your team and making everybody pull the rope the same way and take off in the trajectory you want to.
Absolutely. I highly recommend, again, if you have a traditional business, or even if you don't, you can certainly read that book, but it'll get you thinking different on how you should be organized and how you should do things. All right, my next book, which had a huge impact on my life, and this is the one that the pictures were in from, around 2000, somewhere in that time frame, is The Magic of Thinking Big with Dr. David Schwartz. Guys, this one was a game changer for me because from my background, from my upbringing, you certainly weren't thinking big. You were thinking small. I mean, getting a 50-cent raise an hour was a big deal around our house and stuff. So I had to really change my thinking. But The Magic of Thinking Big with Dr. David Schwartz. And again, I'm not sharp enough like Jordo is. He's doing it by memory. I had to jot down some notes of what I wanted to talk about with him. But what this book really teaches you, it teaches you to set your goals high and then exceed that. And that was something that I needed because I had to get out of my poverty kind of mentality. And that was a big deal for me. And back in those days, teaching, I just thought I was doing it as a teacher and I wasn't making anything. I mean, it was crazy. But we started so low that just getting up to a teaching level salary was huge for me. But David Schwartz made me realize that there's so much more. Here's what he covers in this book and why I think it's so huge. Believe you can succeed and you will. If you believe you can succeed, you will, guys. It's that simple. This one of my favorites. Cure yourself of excusitis.
A lot of people can relate to that one.
I mean, I used to make excuses all the time, and I did learn that you can make excuses or you can make money, but you can't make both.
Yeah.
So let's cure ourselves of excusitis. That is the failure disease, guys. I'm telling you right now. Excusitis is the failure disease. Here's what I would challenge everybody to do. Look at me now and do this. Say, I made my last excuse yesterday. Let's do it together. I made my last excuse yesterday. I'm telling you, if we would live by that, we can accomplish great and mighty things in our lives. This book talks about build confidence and destroy fear, how to think and dream creatively. Boy, I needed that one too. Make your attitudes your allies. We've talked about that. This is a huge one too. Get the action habit. Guys, you can have the greatest thoughts in the world, the greatest plans, the greatest dreams, the greatest goals. And if you don't do anything, it ain't happening.
Yep.
I mean, it just ain't happening. We've got to take that first step and we've got to get into the action. I mean, most things are more about action than ability. I mean, it really is. Because if you got this reasonable intelligence, you'll figure it out. But if you don't ever take that first step, if you don't ever get it going, and I'm going to dare say that so many people go to their grave with a bunch of dreams still in them because they were scared to take that first step. But anyway, get the action habit. How to turn defeat into victory. As I said earlier, I either win or I learn. And then how to think like a leader. I mean, he covers all of that in The Magic of Thinking Big. This has been huge in my life. I have literally read this book 4 or 5 times, starting, I guess, in the late 90s, early 2000s. But The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz.
That's another one with very yellow pages.
Very yellow pages.
My pages are pearly white over here. Before I get into Think and Grow Rich, which is a classic,
yes,
go into the comments section. Tell us what books you're reading for personal growth, your favorite books, whether, like Presley said, the Bible, Think and Grow Rich. There's so many out there, but comment in the comment section and we will respond to you. So my next book is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's just a classic. The original unedited 1937. Is that
that's
correct?
It. Yeah.
That's a before both of us were born. But it talks about, the first step to riches is desire. The second is faith. You got to have imagination. You gotta be organized. You got to have a plan. You have to be all in, which is a quote you like to say. And then persistence is key. It's something that, nothing's going to be easy, and you have to attack this every single day to get where you want to go. And, again, a lot of these books, which 3 out of the first 4 books have thinking in them. Think and Grow Rich, The Magic of Thinking Big,
Yep.
and The Secrets to a Millionaire Mind. It's all talking about, guys, the brain is so powerful, and you have to get your brain thinking in the right direction, and that's how you're going to really achieve success. Because once you believe it and you trust yourself, you will get it done.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, Jordan was absolutely right. Think and Grow Rich is a classic. Um, Here's why I didn't have that. We would have had to have had 2 books that were identical, but I loaned mine out to a new associate of mine, and I didn't have it. So that's why I put The Secrets of a Millionaire Mind in there. That's kind of 1A, 1B. But Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, it's literally a classic. Literally a classic. And if you're wanting to change the way you think, that is a book that you definitely need to read, and you will be in awe as you're listening or reading it. I do a lot on audio books, but
Yeah.
if you're listening to it or if you're reading it yourself, it's going to be amazing to you. But I love that one.
Because one thing, real quick, I think with these classics, I talked earlier about how I like having the hard copies of them. It's great to really go through these the first time, take notes, do everything you want to do, and then when you refresh, listen to audiobooks as you're driving down the road, whatever it is. But that first time on these real heavy hitter books, it's great having the copies of them to go through.
Amen and amen. Well, I've definitely got another classic here. Robert Kiyosaki. I've been blessed to get to share a stage with him. I've been blessed to get to visit with him and do some stuff with Robert. And his Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I'm sure you've at least heard of. Maybe you haven't read it, but you've at least heard of Rich Dad Poor Dad. Is pretty phenomenal. Again, it is one that's going to get your thoughts going. And again, in my notes here, it's probably the number one personal finance book of all time. I'm guessing that's correct. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm guessing because you can't look at any kind of personal finance list that it's not on there, and most of the time it's up at the top. Phenomenal book as far as getting you to thinking right. This book defines once and for all an asset and a liability. I think that is so key for us to realize what is really an asset that we have and what is really a liability we have. It challenges, this book will get you to thinking, because it challenges the belief that your house is an asset.
Yeah.
Because you're having to put money into it. Now, I don't have time to go into all of that, but it shows how school teaches nothing about money. And if you think about it, it does. It doesn't teach anything about money. I used to get away from the curriculum sometimes. I guess I've been out long enough that they can't holler at me now. But I would literally, back in the day when we had newspapers, I would bring a business section in, and my classes, I was teaching algebra, and this wasn't part of my curriculum, but I would have kids pick stocks. And they'd pick 3 or 4 stocks that they wanted to, imaginary buy. And then every day we'd track what the stock did. And I was trying to teach them about money. We would talk about, how to keep a checkbook, how to do a lot of things that wasn't in the curriculum. But I personally felt like that the kids needed. Now, it wasn't like I spent all day or the whole class period on it, but we would do some of that stuff because I thought that was key. And Robert really talks about that schools don't teach any of that.
Yeah.
I guess we just kind of assume that kids are going to learn it somehow, but it's not good. We need to have more of that. This book changed the way millions of people think about money, and it shows that people learn to work. It shows people. Here's the whole key to that. We in our society, we teach people to work for money, and we don't teach people how to get money to work for you. And that's really so much of what he covers in this book. Is he teaches us how to get money working for us. You want those dollar bills to have babies.
Yeah.
I mean, you want your money to make money. You want to be on the right side of the interest equation. It is just so key. And I cannot recommend, and it's an easy read. This isn't, he doesn't use those, $20 words in here. I mean, it's a pretty easy read. You can read it pretty quickly, but I highly recommend that you read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
That is awesome. Yeah, I've read that book a few times. I think I read that maybe the first time in high school.
Might have.
but
I'm sure I was recommending it to you to read.
but I definitely, it's been a long time since I've had to keep a checkbook. I don't know if I've ever really had to keep a checkbook in my adult life. We've kind of gone away from that. The
Well,
next,
newspapers, we don't really do newspapers anymore either, but back when I was teaching, we did. So,
definitely. The next one for me, it's another just classic, another, bestseller. It's Good to Great by Jim Collins.
yes.
How to take a business from good to great, and how that good, if you're happy with being good, it keeps you from being great. A few of the notes I have, good is the enemy of great. Like I just said, if everybody's just trying to be good, you're never going to be great. And we want to be great. We want to stand out from everybody else. Um, Another big principle of this book is getting the right team together, and how if you have the right team together and the right people on the bus sitting in the right seats, you can accomplish so much. Some other big takeaways are the hedgehog concept. Figure out what your core business is and stick with it. Really lock into that, be as great as you can in that core business, and don't get into stuff that you don't know. The flywheel concept, it's hard to get a business started, and it takes a ton of work in the beginning. But once you get that flywheel moving and it gets going faster and faster and faster, soon enough, you don't have to, the business is going to run with or without you because of the team you've put in place, and the things that you've done. And, my last point is just how big it is when you're starting something, whether it's network marketing, whether it's a regular business, whatever it is, you've got to put in the time and really, put in those extra hours in the beginning to get it off the ground and get it working. And I know you've got a lot of thoughts on this book too. You've read it a few times.
Yeah. Jim Collins is an amazing author. He also authored Built to Last, which is another one that it's not on our list today, but it's one I recommend. That again, Good to Great is if you're putting a business together, it gives you so many keys to how to take it from startup to good, but then it'll teach you to not stop at good and go all the way to great. And he gives example after example after example in that book. Phenomenal book, guys. I recommend it highly. I've actually read that one multiple times too. It's just a good book. So Good to Great. Um, my next one probably wouldn't make a lot of people's top list, but I am a huge fan of a guy named Art Williams. I don't know if you guys know Art. Art Williams, he started a company called A.L. Williams. And his phrase was buy term and invest the difference. Buy term and invest the difference. He took on the big life insurance companies that were selling just whole life and universal life. And he said, if you would buy term insurance and invest the difference because term was cheaper, if you would take that money and invest it yourself, you would come out way better. Well, back then, there was only like 5% of the people. This was back in the late 70s, early 80s. There was only like 5% of the people that had term life insurance. Well, now it's over half people have term life insurance. I mean, he literally proved the concept out. They took on Prudential and all those top-notch life insurance companies, biggest powers in the world, and at their peak, they were doing more than the next three companies combined. I mean, A.L. Williams was rocking, guys. And this guy was an old football coach. Maybe that's why I relate to him
Yeah.
so much, Jordo, is that he was an old football coach. Even though I coach basketball, it was the old coach. And I love how he goes about things. But again, in my notes, I'm going to give you just a couple of tidbits. And I mean, I love this stuff. I love it. I mean, it is common sense stuff, and as we say a lot nowadays, the problem with common sense is it's not very common.
Yep.
But Art has common sense, and I'll throw this out while I'm thinking about it. If you have not gone to YouTube and watched "Just Do It" by Art Williams, if you're having a down day, just go watch Just Do It by Art Williams. I mean, I bet I've watched that 1,000 times because if I'm having a little bit of a down day, I'll watch it. And when I finish, not very long, probably 15 minutes, but it pumps me up so much. But anyway, all you can do is all you can do, but all you can do is enough by Art Williams. And here's what he covers. He says that everybody wants to be somebody. And I agree with that totally. Um, Failure messages are ahead. In other words, you're going to have naysayers, guys. I mean, if you are trying to do anything big, you're going to have the haters. Understand this. Haters are coming. I mean, it's just the way it is. And he just calls it failure messages ahead. The secret to winning, he says it's desire. I agree with
Yep.
that. You know, I've said for a long time that if you want it bad enough, you'll figure out how. If you don't want it bad enough, you'll figure out an excuse. Well, guys, that's really what he's saying there. The secret to winning is desire. How bad do you want it? And I'm going to say it again, guys. I say this all the time to you because I want you to believe this. You can accomplish anything you set your mind to, guys. I believe that with every fiber in me. There's no free lunches. You're going to have to work for whatever you accomplish. Becoming a dreamer again. Anybody that has listened to me or heard me speak know that I am always number one is we got to get back in the dream business. I mean, I'm talking about that all the time because if you're not in the dream business, life is boring, guys. We got to have something we're shooting for. Uh, have a crusade. You know, my crusade is I'm leading the charge for hope and opportunity.
Yep.
I mean, I want everybody to understand in my crusade that I'm leading that charge for hope and opportunity for everybody because we all deserve that. I believe that, guys. Keep it simple. Boy, that was big on Art's list. Always be positive. Seems like that's been in every book we've talked about so far, hasn't it, Jordan?
Yep.
Treat people good. I mean, that's back to the Bible, guys. You know, treat people like you want to be treated.
And the golden rule.
The golden rule, baby. Never give up. I think that's been a common theme as we've been talking this morning. The do it principle. Well, again, go back to YouTube. Just do it, Art Williams. Don't blow it. And I love this part. Don't blow it. You know, he talks about in his book here, all you can do is all you can do, but all you can do is enough. He talks about how many people have achieved some financial success, but they've lost their family. They don't have a spiritual life. And that's what he means by don't blow it. We have nothing, guys, if we don't have our relationship with the good Lord, and if we don't have a family to share our happiness and our success with, we don't have anything. So I love that he's talking about don't blow it. And this is Art. If you've listened to Art, this will sound just like him because it is. But he says, when they click your lights out for the last time, have no regrets. I recommend highly. It's not on most list of people that they're putting their top 10 books together, but I'm going to say I love this book, and maybe it's just because I'm an old coach too, but it did something for me. Again, all you can do is all you can do, but all you can do is enough by Art Williams.
One thing you said and there kind of stuck out to me is, in this generation where we are today, I feel like people don't want to put the work in, and you just have to put the work in. There's no way around it. Nothing comes easy. It seems like the younger generation, especially, they don't want to do anything anymore, and you're not going to get where you want to go.
And from us owning the businesses and stuff, it's like a young person will come in and they don't realize you got to start out at the bottom. It's like they want to come in and be mid management from day one, and you're going, well, we'll help you get there, but you got to learn what you're doing. You got to learn the ropes. You got to make an impression on us about that you can handle it. But we don't just give these positions out. You got to earn them, and earning is not it's not a popular word anymore. Like you say, it seems like with the younger generation. And don't take me wrong, the younger generation is amazing, and they have been some of our best employees. They've done some amazing things for us, but I agree with you on what you were saying.
And it's, a lot of, especially in sales, team members come in, and if they don't have instant success, then they're done and they quit and they go somewhere else. And it's, it's not one of those things that just happens overnight. It's putting in the efforts, making the calls, making the follow-ups, building, a network. And it takes time.
Well, our buddy Randy Hedge, and by the way, if you haven't seen Randy Hedge on TikTok, you need to do that.
And we're getting Randy on the channel soon.
Yeah,
so
you
will see the cowboy soon.
But he says it, and I think he has such unique ways of saying things. But he says, you don't plant the crop today and expect to harvest it tomorrow. And I think so many people, they come in and they work for a week and they think they should be top salesperson. They don't realize you got to develop that business. You got to farm that business. You got to do some stuff, and it's going to take a little time.
Definitely. Well, let's jump into my next one, which is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. Another one that is just a classic. And I know, again, you've read this a bunch of times. It just has so much great information in it. It's a bestseller. What is in this book includes being proactive, begin with the end in mind, put the first things first, think win-win, which I think is huge. We're not losing. We're thinking and we're going to win, and that's the only option there. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Synergize, which is huge, and I don't know that in today's world we do that enough. Synergizing. I feel like it takes people being together and feeding off one another. And then number 7, which is kind of what we're doing here, is sharpening the saw. You got to stay sharp. You got to be reading. You got to be learning. You got to keep your brain sharp. You got to do things like this if you really want to win at life.
Yeah. I think that sharpen the saw, I think that comes from, I believe it was Abraham Lincoln. I could be wrong on this one, but I believe it was him. He said, if I have an hour to cut down a tree, I'm going to spend my first 30 minutes sharpening my axe. Well, what he's talking about is we need to be sharpening our mind all the time. I think sometimes we get busy, 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 being busy, 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 and we forget, like you're doing, to have that quiet time where you spend 30 minutes
Yeah.
reading a good book, and we start growing as a person. I think that is so key for us to keep growing. And I mean, y'all have heard me say many times that my mentor said, if you want more, you got to become more, that you don't chase success, you attract success by the person you become. I think that is so key. Synergize. I mean, I know my strengths and weaknesses, guys. And, I'm thankful to have Jordan around because, before we started, he made some suggestions to me. And, he acted like he thought it might bother me. And I'm going, brother, I'm all in for constructive criticism because I certainly know that I can improve. I mean, I don't think I'm a finished product by any stretch of the imagination. It was Theodore Roosevelt that when he died as an old man, when they took him out of his bed, he still had a book under his pillow. I mean, and that's the way I want to be. I want to be learning and growing to the very end. All the stuff that's in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is amazing. Be proactive. That speaks for itself. Begin with the end in mind. If we could all see the end at the beginning, I think we could work harder. And we've just got to envision what we want it to look like, and then start taking those steps every day to get it to where we want it to be. But you got to picture that end. I think that is huge. First things first is really just prioritizing. That's what he's talking about there. He wants you to prioritize. Think win-win. Again, we don't lose. We either win or we learn. And I'd rather win, but sometimes we learn. And sometimes learning can be expensive, but it is what it is. We want to learn. I could go on and on and on, but the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People it seems like we say it for every book we've held up, maybe except for arts, is that they're just classics. And that one is a true classic.
Definitely.
True classic. All right. My turn again.
Your last one.
My last
End
one.
with a bang. I got a banger for the end, so I'm excited about my
I think
next
you're
one.
going to outdo me on this last one, but I'm going to tell you guys, and I should have shown you on all these, but I'm a big believer, and I don't know if you guys can see, but I mean, I highlight like crazy. I mean, can y'all see all the highlights in there? And I had blue in the beginning, and then I guess my blue ran out, and I started doing yellow.
They can see it on camera.
Yeah,
we can see it on our
yeah, look
teleprompter
at that.
down
We
there.
can see it down there.
We're official.
But I mean, I believe in highlighting, underlining, putting stars, anything I can do to help me remember. But the book I'm going to end with is, since I'm a networker and been blessed to be pretty good at it, I'm going to tell you, I was terrible to start. I didn't know what in the frick I was doing. Somebody said that, you don't have to be great to get started, but you got to get started to be great. Well, I took that to heart. And one of the first books I ever read, I can still remember a bookstore over off Centerville Road in Garland where I got this book. I remember going in to get it because somebody had recommended it. I just got into network marketing. And I mean, like I said, I was highlighting and going through and underlining and doing everything. This is where I got my foundation for networking. If you're wondering where I got my foundation, now obviously I had some great mentors, but my foundation is from right here. Your First Year in Network Marketing by Mark Yarnell. Today, this is still applicable. Now, obviously, it doesn't have a lot of social media stuff in it. I mean, the profession has grown some, but everything he talks about is still very applicable in today's world. And again, uh, here's the difference too. I got paper here. Jordan's got him a pad over there, a electronic pad that he's got his notes on. I'm scratching out with ink and paper, but. Um, your first year in network marketing can be challenging, and this book gives steps to overcome those challenges. That is so true. Get this. Here's just a few things they cover, and obviously we've gone over a lot of this because we've covered a lot of the networking basics. Obviously, we got a lot we can still cover, but one, dealing with rejection. Well, I mean that's any business though. You're going to get rejected in any business. Number two, recruiting and training. Guys, we got to get out there and find people that want to change their lives. Again, I'm offering hope and opportunity. I mean, that's what I'm selling. If I'm selling anything, it's hope and opportunity. So I want people to know that. Avoid getting in management mode. A lot of people they get in the business, get a little success going, and then they quit personally recruiting. They just start trying to manage the team. And this is a business where you always have to have new blood coming in. And Mark really points that out in his book. He really talks about staying focused. I'll say it again. It still amazes me, Jordan. I hadn't really thought about all this, but so many of the points in all of these books are the same.
Yeah.
I mean, they're literally the same points. I mean, and you're thinking there must be something to this, but staying focused. I mean, staying focused, we've talked about in several of these books. He talks about doing home meetings. My gosh, guys, home meetings are a bedrock of networking. Now, I know we can do Zooms, and if somebody lives way off, that's the only thing we really can do. But if somebody's local, my gosh, do a home meeting, and he's big on that. And then attending big events. He's talking about, you build from big event to big event to big event. That is the same stuff. And this book is, I don't know, 30 years old. Yeah, probably a little more. 30 years old, and it's the same basics as what we teach today. Now, again, a few things have been added with social media and Zoom and stuff like that, but everything that Mark Yarnell talks about in your first year in network marketing is applicable today. And I highly recommend that if you're in networking, that you get this book and you read it. And it's a phenomenal read. I can say I've read this thing multiple times. It's been a while since I've read it, and doing stuff like this really gets me to thinking, because as I was pulling this off the shelf in my office, I thought, I really need to read that again.
You said
Yeah, I was
got the dust off of
blowing the
it.
dust off of it because it was on. I had to get the step ladder to get to one of the shelves with that it was on. But I'm gonna leave this one out. I'm gonna leave it sitting on my desk, and I'm gonna read this one again because it is that important to me, and it really brings back memories of my first couple of years in the profession, and how I was just trying to learn, and what this book did for me was huge. So again, your First Year in Network Marketing by Mark Yarnell, Yarnell. I highly recommend.
Definitely. What was the cost of this book on the
I don't
rack?
know.
I was kind of looking at the
It probably still got it on there.
$15 for a massive book,
Yeah, I'm guessing. I'm guessing if you looked it up today on Amazon or something, it would probably be
because
30.
the magic of thinking big was $7. I'm looking at my books going, if I get something under 20, I feel like it's a deal. And this next book's definitely not under 20. But I've got to thank Larry Raskin for introducing this book to me. It wasn't was it last Thursday? No, it was Thursday before last.
Thursday before last.
So almost 2 weeks ago now. We usually film these on Wednesday, release them on Friday. So um ordered it, took a little bit to get here. I got it Monday, and I'm about to
And
finish
today's
it.
Wednesday.
And today's Wednesday. So but he spoke so highly on this book. It's a book to him that I think changed his life. I've read 3/4 of it, a little more than 3/4 of it now, and it's really started to change my way of thinking. So I got to be honest, haven't finished it, but what I've read in the first 3/4 of it is game changing. And just bear with me here because, like Presley said, not sponsored by Remarkable or anything like that, but just this tablet's awesome for keeping notes, emailing stuff out from it. Really, really cool. And I have pages of whenever I read a book, especially one that has such great information in it. I'm going to take notes and really go through it. So I thought it was funny too. You have good to great was one of my books, and then you have greatness. Again, it's common themes along the way, but the best predictors of success are focus, passion, and mental toughness. Um, Obviously, in a YouTube short I did a little while ago, was talking about focus and just how important it is to focus. There's going to be adversity along the way, and do you have the mental skills to be able to break through that? That's the mental toughness part. And then one thing you said earlier, how bad do you want to get there? That's the passion. And if you don't have the passion and you don't have the will, it's just never gonna happen. um, Champions, this is a good one. Champions differentiate themselves by setting four distinct goals. They are specific, they are tangible, they are difficult, and they are self-referenced. I think that's awesome stuff. Specific goals is huge, tangible goals, difficult goals, we have to challenge ourselves. It can't be something easy that we're going to achieve by just waking up in the morning. Um, and self-reference goals. What do you have to do today to achieve your goals? And like I um, also talked about earlier, I kind of started a vision board for the year 2030, and then I said, how many days is it until the end of 2030, which was like 2,137. It was something around there. And then I backtracked to today to figure out what I need to do today to achieve what I have on the vision board. It's daunting where my vision board is, but I know what I got to do. Chapter 7 is the fuel of passion. Then you have ownership, accountability. I think accountability is huge. David Cook, who I guess I never even showed the book, Greatness by David Cook.
Can you all see the title there on it?
Very tiny. There's some reason he has done this. I don't know it, but I promise you, there's a reason. Accountability keeps goals alive. I think that's awesome because I think, again, one of the shorts I did earlier, people don't hold themselves accountable, and that's, if you're not holding yourself accountable, everything slides. If I'm not holding myself accountable to when my alarm goes off and I'm hitting the snooze a bunch of times, if I'm not holding myself accountable to getting it to work out, if I'm not holding myself accountable with what I'm eating, I'm not going to go do my job great. These are just, it's everyday stuff that,
Can I throw something in right there? Here's the way we usually do that. We judge other people by their actions.
yeah,
We judge ourselves by our intentions. Let me say that one more time. Ordinarily, we judge other people by their actions, and we judge ourselves by our intentions. I think the accountability piece is so key there, Jordan.
100%. One of the big pillars again is mental toughness, is the ability to reach your potential in the face of adversity, interference, and change. Because again, what we've talked about so much is nothing you're going to accomplish that is really meaningful is going to be easy. There's always going to be stuff. He talks about the I will approach. Think win-win. I think it's kind of the same concept there. I'm going to do this. It's not I'm going to try. We're going to get this done. Obviously, mental toughness is embracing the pressure, practicing for emergencies, painting a masterpiece, trusting your talent, and preserving. I think one of the big concepts I've took from him is he talked. There's a chapter on it as painting your masterpiece, which basically says, he uses a golf reference where I'm gonna visualize my shot. He talks to somebody who says, I see water left, I see the bunker right, I see water long, and then the golfer that plays the hole well, they say, what do you see? Well, I see a nice tight draw to a back left pin location, hitting just on that down slope a little bit to the right of the pin, and that ball rolling out towards the pin. And everything we do in life, we have to paint our masterpiece, which again is why I wanted to get that vision board done, because I'm painting my masterpiece for the next 5 years. I got to know what it looks like, and now I can go achieve it. We got to avoid pressures that lead to failure. Um, and then the last one, I'll obviously I've taken a ton of notes on this one, but is trusting your talents. Um, and the reason that is so big is because when you trust your talents, your actions are free and confident. There's no questions. You're able to just go out and act and trust yourself, which is it's freeing, and it gets you further down the road whenever you're trusting yourself, not second guessing yourself, because second guessing yourself is doubt, and doubt just again kills dreams.
Amen.
So I have a few more notes on that than the other ones, just because I'm literally in the middle of it as we speak. But it is a awesome book.
I'll say this: all of the books that we have recommended are just pretty normal price wise, except for Greatness.
Yeah, and Larry just told me to read it, and then $100 later, I'm not I'm recommending this book. It is expensive, but it is a wealth of knowledge from a guy that's coached people mentally for years, just working with them on thoughts and how to achieve better things. And so much research has gone into his work. He's worked with so many professional athletes and other people to really change thinking again, which thinking's been in so many of these, changing their thinking to achieve greatness.
All right, I'm going to give you my honorable mentions. I wrote out a couple of honorable mentions because I could have brought a whole stack of books in here, but the Power of One, The Power of One More by Ed Mylett. Uh, I I am about 2/3 of the way through with that. That's my current read, and I love it. The Power of One More by Ed Mylett, Mylett. You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor. I was blessed to share the stage with Bob Proctor before he passed, and he actually told the audience they should listen to me, which was man, my gosh, talking about a humbling experience when a guy like that tells the audience to listen to you. Another one of my favorites, guys, is Made in America by Sam Walton. I love that business book, but I love that. The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. Great book. Great book. The Richest Man in Babylon, one of my favorites of all time, George Clayson. And then Jordo hit one of mine that I had on my list was Good to Great by Jim Collins. I had that on mine. And then, if you're looking for leadership, John Maxwell is the ultimate authority. I've been blessed to get to know him and play golf with him and stuff. He's a good man. And definitely knows his leadership. So if you're looking for a leadership book, I recommend John Maxwell's books. So
Definitely. Well, this was a action-packed episode. I think there's so much greatness in these books that if people will take the time, it's a lot to chew. But if you just start and take 10 pages a day and get through some of these, I think you'll see that where your thinking ends up is completely different than where it is today.
yeah, a thought process I just had. I'm going to read Greatness as well. Maybe we might can save people $100, and for the ones that are on the road to success and haven't hit there yet, maybe we could do a segment on just that book.
Definitely.
Because
I think that'd be
looking
awesome.
at your notes, it looks like there's plenty to chew on.
There's plenty to chew on. And like Larry said, the last chapter ties it all together, and that's where the juice is. And, I'm 15 pages off from it. So I'm excited to get there and finish this one up.
Well, guys, I hope y'all had just half the fun Jordan and I did on going over this stuff. It was an eye opener for me. It brought back a lot of memories. Again, there's a couple of these books that I made a decision that I'm going to read again, which is really again. But I'm going to read it again, especially your first year in network marketing. My gosh, that one really brought back some emotions to me. So I'm excited about reading that one more time. But we hope you got something out of this. And I'll say this: don't get overwhelmed because you think I want to read all 10 of those, and that's great, and you should. But I understand my office, I got a stack of books that I'm trying to read, and it's like I add more to it before I get finished with the one I'm on. So it's like I never catch up, but that's all right. We're always learning and growing, and maybe we'll be like Teddy Roosevelt when they turn the lights out on us for the last time. We have a book under our pillow, maybe.
Definitely. And like I said earlier, guys, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like this video, comment down below what you're reading right now to get your thinking change for 2024 and achieving the most you can out of this year. As always, we love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. We hope to see you on the next podcast.
Absolutely. God bless you guys.
Thank you, guys. That was
Have you noticed, like the last 3 or 4 we've done, every time we do one, we go,